Hello and thanks for staying on LN 24/7. This is Politics Now. My name is Morno Balagbogo. Would like to start things on a very positive note by wishing everyone a happy Easter. Just so unfortunate, early hours of Monday morning, we got the reports of the passing of the late Pope Francis, and we want to send our condolences to all Catholics, our brothers and sisters all over the world, most especially our viewers right here on LN 24/7. Well, away from that, our conversation today will focus on tackling killings in Benue State. The last few weeks has just been so full of the news of killings here and there, not just in Benue State, but also in Plateau State, Borno State, Katsina, Kwara. The reports have just been so not encouraging at all, and one wonders, what is the role of our security agencies? They are doing something, but is it enough? Our focus today will be on Benue State. Our talking points will focus on the lingering herdsmen attacks in Benue State and way forward, and also Nigeria's security architecture and resolving the conflicts. We have the Chief Press Secretary to Governor Alia. He is a journalist and also public affairs commentator, Tersoo Kula. He will be with us shortly. And also still on the issue of Benue State, there's been this whole talks about them not being herders, but also being insurgents because they are armed. And there's the explanations that how can a herder, who's someone who takes care of his flock, go about killing persons? They graduate from being herdsmen to full-blown terrorists and bandits. Well, on the show today, we'll also focus on the Rivers State political crisis, the way forward, our talking points, first path to peace, Wike gives Fubara conditions. There's been a lot of reactions since on Friday when former governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, gave that press briefing. And then our second talking points will focus on concerns over the sole administrator's operations and also calls for Fubara's reinstatement. Lots of dynamics. Some groups in Rivers State are even considering of getting a ruling from the ICC, that is the International Criminal Court, seeking justice for the removal of suspension, I beg your pardon, of Governor Fubara. Well, our guest today is no stranger to the show. Zoe Solomon Taminoye, a development activist and national president for Rivers Emancipation Movement. We'll take a quick breather. When we come back, we will get straight into the latest details surrounding Benue insecurity. Just stay with us. As over 2 billion professing Christians celebrate the symbolic resurrection of Jesus Christ over 2,000 years after, which signified his victory over death, it is a measured Easter Sunday for millions of Nigerian faithful as gale of grisly killings mark Plateau, Benue states, both in the Middle Belt area of the country. In neighboring Benue, the situation was not in any way different, as suspected herdsmen wreaked havoc on local communities, killing scores and displacing thousands of residents. Well, in response, Governor Hyacinth Alia has since appealed to the Bola Tinubu presidency to step up and deal with the rising insecurity in the state, as the death toll from the recent attacks by suspected herdsmen on Kum and local government areas in the state rose to 56 on Saturday.
Calling on the federal government to support us, to come to our aid, and very promptly. I know that the federal government is supported very enormous, and our security heads and all their team have been working strenuously, non-stop. But for this still to have happened, something drastic, something strategic has to come to play.
Now, in the meantime, the leader of the Senate, Senator Opeyemi Bamidele, on Sunday revealed that the National Assembly is currently working on a legal framework that will empower each state to establish its force to address the rising wave of insecurity across the country. Bamidele disclosed this in his Easter message in Abuja, and his comments come in the wake of these killings and also the report from the National Assembly that the National Assembly will resume session on the 6th of May. So from now till 6th of May, we'll have to wait and see what will be done this time around at a state level. And also the president released a report earlier today that the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will be back in Abuja. And of course, earlier today also, Vice President Shettima was in Plateau State to commiserate with the victims and to also look at a way forward in tackling the surge in these killings. Well, our conversation today is focusing on the Benue State situation. Well, Honorable Tersoo joins us from Benue State. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. God bless you.
All right, could you give us a quick update on what the Aliyah administration is doing to assuage the situation at the moment?
I really appreciate you for picking interest to find out what is happening in Benue and to let our viewers, our Nigerians, and the public to know developments as regards the untoward development that is happening in Benue State at the moment. That Benue has come under siege is no longer news, and that some people have planned, organized, and are executing a script in Benue State. The government is doing everything possible by the one towards development are taken care of. So these are two folks. So first of all, a constant security advisor to ensure that the federal presence as regards security is beefed up in these areas. And he has also been in constant touch with the chief of defense staff to ensure that military presence is fit in these areas to repair any attack by these marauders. Like yesterday, that's 2 days ago, the governor was at Ukum and Logo, where twin attacks by these terrorists was fed. And the number you just got, at the last count, we got 59 corpses that were discovered and taken, those that we can identify. We're yet to get any updates to ascertain whether the number you have got is actually okay. However, the number is not the issue here. One life lost is so precious that nobody will ever pray that he governs a state where lives are being lost in this way. So His Excellency has called on the federal government because it is not obvious that the federal presence that is here has been overstretched in such a way that the marauders the terrorists are not concerned with just one local government. They're not just concerned with a particular locality. They are attacking local governments. Maybe they have mapped up to attack at this particular time that you can't explain exactly why they are doing that. But one thing that is common from these attacks is that once they attack and escape, or they keep or they escape or they move away, they not bring a cartridge and they take over the lands where these locals have moved away. So there's nothing, you can't describe this as nothing more than land grabbing, just like His Excellency made it known that it's land grabbing that is the in thing here. Or can say kill, maim, push the people away and occupy. That is the situation in Benue. But the governor is doing everything possible to get the presence of the military and the other conventional security agencies to combat these people and then curtail the level of the incessant attacks.
These marauders or terrorists, as you would like to call it, are they indigents of the state? And I've listened to the past media briefing that Governor Aliyah had, I think 2 weeks ago, talking about ECOWAS agreement and borders. What's your take on this?
There has not been any arrests so far because what is happening is more of guerrilla warfare. People come attack and then they disappear in the neighboring states. That is why recently the governor called on the federal government to ensure that the law prohibiting open grazing and establishment of ranches is made a national law. This is because you have a situation that the subnationals are not living in isolation. There is no boundary in Nigeria here that is fenced anywhere. And so people can lay siege on your state by moving from another state to invade and cause mayhem. This is exactly what is happening here. Now, for instance, Benue is bordered by Nasarawa State, Taraba State, even the Cameroons, Cross River, Kogi, and I think FCT now. Now, the issue here is that you are implementing or enforcing the law prohibiting open grazing in your own state, where even the boundaries are interwoven. But Nasarawa State is not bothered about this same law. And so there's open grazing in Nasarawa State. Taraba State is not bothered by this law. Then there's open grazing in Taraba State. Cameroon, which is the international boundary, is not bothered about this law. And so people, Fulanis that rear cows, the herders, come through the Cameroon, come through Taraba, come through Nasarawa State to attack the people when they are well repaired by security agencies. They run back into these states. And so there's no peace in Benue because other states have not shown any interest in enforcing this law or enacting such law and implementing them in order to curtail the influx of herders coming into graze freely. That is the situation we're having. Now, to answer, these are herders, and they speak the language that the people know that this is where these people are coming from. And so it is obvious that are not indigenous of Benue State that are attacking Benue. There are herders that are coming in from other states, and we even suspect from the international border, but some are coming from Cameroon to attack the people of the local government that shares international boundary with the Cameroon. Some are coming from Nasarawa State, crossing over to attack the people of Agatu, to attack the people of Guma, to attack the people of Makudi that share a boundary with Nasarawa State. And then some are coming from Taraba to attack the people in Kasinala, Okun, Logo, and Kwande that is also sharing boundaries with Taraba State. Like the recent attack that happened on Friday, the federal forces, the military, were able to repel the attackers. And where did they run to? They ran into Taraba about borders. They ran into Taraba. So they are not the people from Benue that are attacking the people in Benue. There are people who are invading from other states to attack the people, occupy their lands. But when they are repaired by security agencies, they now run back to the states where they're coming from.
Now, let's talk about the civilian security network established by Governor Aliyah. What are the challenges? Because we've seen the Southwest governors excel in this particular area of securing the lives of their citizens. I'm wondering, what are the challenges? Because earlier today we spoke with a technical advisor to the governor, that's Solomon Ipov, who made mention of the fact that the governor had purchased vehicles. I'm sure you would make reference to that also. But beyond that is still enough. The issue of funding was also raised. And we will get to that, but let me just get into your thoughts.
That is the civil protection guard that has been established. And they are well equipped. But there's some extent to which you can equip a security outfit that is not a federal government established security establishment. And His Excellency bought 100 cars and 600 motorbikes and equipped these people also with communication gadgets to be able to communicate security developments across the state. However, their all is to complement, support the regular security, like the army, the military that's here, the police, the civil defense, and maybe the DSS. Their own is to complement these security agents. They cannot go on their own and begin to arrest people because you have people who are brandishing while they are complementing this. I want you not to forget the fact that I already told you that from all indications, the security apparatus in the state is being overstretched in respect to this. And so we need more hands. The Benue State government is calling on the federal government to deploy more troops to Benue to combat these terrorists.
Now, let's talk about collaborating with other states, because you said that these marauders or terrorists, these armed men, when they come perpetuate these dastardly acts, they escape immediately to neighboring villages. So I'm wondering what the governor of Benue State, Reverend Father Aliyah, is doing to collaborate with neighboring states to curb this insecurity situation.
The governor has been making efforts and has been discussing with his brother governors in these states. And the details, I may not want to say it here because I don't speak for those governors, I only speak for my governor. But he has been making efforts and he has been in contact with these governors. But then, what you need to know is that maybe the discussions at their level is not wrapped enough, and that is why he has called on the federal government to ensure that that law has made a national law so that every other state, every other subnational will begin to enforce it. That way, peace will return to very many communities that are under siege now.
Now, on the morning show today, I was actually privileged to interview the former Minister of Youth and Sports, and also Mr. Solomon Ipoh from your state, and I'm sure you know him. You're in the same political party, and we almost, went back and forth over the issue of the state's responsibility, because from the lowdown of your conversation, yes, the federal government has its own stake in tackling this issue of insecurity. Well, let's talk about the role of the governor, because there seems to be a nonchalant attitude with governors about increasing the revenue, internally generated revenue in the state, because that money can also help to fight insecurity. I'm curious to know your thoughts.
Let's say something about revenue. You should understand that these are developments, and I call this untoward developments. These are development that hinders even the generation of revenue to some extent. Remember, if you call Benue State the food basket of the nation, it is because of the citruses we produce here, because of the yam, I can generally say tuber crops that we have here, that is root crops that we have here. You have cassava here, you have yam here, and then you have everything here. The axis that is under siege in particular, and I think this is deliberate, the axis that is under siege, the Sankre axis that comprise of Ukum, Kasinala, and Logo, are versed in production of a huge market for yam. That is where everybody come to Benue and dash to get the number of yam that you want. And then the people of Way West, the people of Gatu, these are people that farm grains. They produce a lot of corn, rice, and these other grains. And these are the people that are under attack. And then the people of Kuma are under attack. The people in Kwande, too, are the hub of rice production. And all these places are under attack. So you should understand that if not because of prudent management, I must tell you that there should be dwindling in the revenue of the state. So one cannot expect the government to get much from the revenue, from the internally generated revenue, now to be able to fight the insecurity, the manner of insecurity we are being grappled with.
Now, away from the state, let's talk about the National Assembly. If you listen closely to my opening remarks, I made mention of the fact that they've moved back resumption to the 6th of May. And also on Sunday, our spokesman for the Senate, Opeyemi Bamidele, had made mention of the fact that they're having moves to push the state police effort that's been in the talks for some time now. So I'm wondering if you've been in communication with lawmakers in your states on the push for this particular solution.
Police, which is a national issue that has to do with the law, both at the state and then to the federal government, and then the Federal Executive Council I think I may not be the right person to talk about the security, the state police at this moment. His Excellency, at the level of at his level with the president, and the level of Federal Executive Council, the level of legislatures at the state, and legislatures at the federal government. I think may not be the right person to comment and talk authoritatively on the issue.
Now, that's fine, but in terms of solution, like you said, the military is needed to come. But the reality is that the military come and go. So in terms of the sustainability of tackling this issue, we had Operation Haven in Plateau State, and in your state, there's so many interventions of the military in the past. But when they come do their job, they go back. In terms of sustainability, what more can be done?
I earlier told you that we observe that the security, the federal security forces sent to the state are being overstretched. And I told you also that we need more of that to come to the state. And once you say you need more, it means you don't just need their presence. You need them to come and stay, because this is not the first time this crisis is coming out. But when people have the penchant to fight, go and come again, then you need these people to stay around and be able to monitor our borders and monitor our communities that are prone to this crisis. And so we need them, we need more of them, and we need more of their presence.
Now, Honorable, permit me to digress a little bit. Let's talk about the controversy surrounding Peter Obi's visit in Benue State. According to him, he was not allowed into the state. Could you clear the air on this?
I can only say that is politics and propaganda taken too far. Nobody stopped Peter Obi from coming to Benue State. Nobody. And I repeat, nobody stopped him. A statement was issued in the wake of the insecurities we are facing in the state. The governor was general. You see my office, the governor was general by saying that there should be no high-profile person coming to the state, especially without his notice. And again, nobody should go to any IDP camp without his consent through the office of the Benue State Emergency Management Agency. And nobody called on Peter Obi. Nobody pointed at him that Obi don't come to Benue. But perhaps as a politician and as somebody who is trying to reinvigorate his campaign stand, maybe he wanted to use that to get another cheap popularity, and that is exactly what he has done. And that is why you are asking this question. Otherwise, Obi was not asked not to come to Benue. Obi was not asked not to go to IDP camp. Now, tell me, since Obi did not come because he was stopped, according to him, is there any other high-profile personality that has come to Benue that you say that it was Obi that was stopped? Is there any other high-profile personality that has come to Benue but is being received and allowed to go to IDP? Stop playing politics with the lives of the people.
All right. So before we go, what would you say about President Tinubu's absence during the course of this rise in the spate of insecurity in the country, and also genuine concerns being raised by some persons in the public? What is your response? And I want to know if the Benue State government has gotten all the needed support required and to be provided by the federal government. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying, you see, these are no issues at all. The president traveled, and all the structure of governance is in place in the country. The president did not fold Nigeria as a paper and travel within wherever he is. And so people should stop making insinuations that are immaterial to what is happening. Even since the president is around, he can only sit wherever he is, whether he can sit in the villa and only make directives. He can only order. That is why he's the commander-in-chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces. If military is supposed to come to Benue, the president must not lead them to come to Benue. The president can only direct and order that wants also troops to be deployed to Benue. That will be done. And so wherever the president is, he can rule the country. And whatever we are saying here, the cries and the call on him to deploy more security in the state, he's being heard wherever he is. And so we should be mindful of the fact that the president did not travel with the country. He only traveled out of the country, but he's still the president, and he can still make directives and orders that will be obeyed because the entire structure of governance is still in place.
All right, Tersoo, thank you so much for being with us. Chief Press Communications Officer to Governor Ali, thank you for your time on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you. May God bless you.
All right, we'll continue to follow updates regarding the insecurity situation, not just in Benue State, but also across the country. All hands on deck as the president comes in today and to steer the affairs of the country, even though he has designated persons in the Ministry of Defense, the military, army, Air Force, and all of that, who are also on ground to do the work. We'll always continue to keep tabs on this very important situation. Security affects almost every area of life for the average Nigerian. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we will move the conversation to Rivers State. There's a whole lot that happened from Friday till now. I'll bring you in on the details, and we will have Zoe, the Rivers Emancipation Movement president, speak with us right after this time out. Just stay with us.
LN 24/7 is first of all a news station.
We'll continue with updates from the just concluded governorship
in the southeast has raised questions if INEC will be able to conduct elections.
With a core team of over 40 correspondents spread across Nigeria.
This is the Otedola Bridge, the famous Otedola Bridge.
We are not here to beg, but we are here to fight for our rights.
And affiliates in Africa, Europe, America, and Asia.
Under heavy security here in Lagos, Nigeria.
We give you news as it breaks from the perspective you can trust.
They told us that they are going to be here from 7 a.m. and they've been here since morning.
LN 24/7 News, where the story goes, we go.
Glad to have you back with us. Let's go straight to our talking points, moving the conversation to the lingering political crisis in Rivers State. What is the way forward? Our first talking point talks about the path to peace. Wike gives Fubara conditions. More so concerns brewing over the sole administrator's operations and calls for Fubara's reinstatement. Quite a lot to unpack. Zoe Solomon Taminotoye, development activist and also national president, Rivers Emancipation, joins us shortly. But before that, let us tell you that the Federal Capital Territory Minister, Nyesom Wike, on Friday had praised Bola Ahmed Tinubu for proclaiming the state of emergency in the state, saying as a politician, he actually wanted an outright removal of suspended Governor Similaye Fubara. And according to him, the emergency declaration saved Fubara from being impeached by the State House of Assembly, saying the embattled governor and his supporters ought to be thanking the president. Wike also gave conditions for Fubara, his estranged political godson and successor, and he says that he would let go of the wrongs Fubara has caused if he genuinely seeks forgiveness. There's been a whole lot of reactions to this. But amidst his suspension, Governor Similaye Fubara has reiterated his commitment to delivering the evidence of democracy and good governance to the people of the state while expressing hope for a better Nigeria. This he gave during his Easter message on Sunday, and he called for the state to continue to support President Bola Tinubu. Let me read some of his words. He says, I call on the good people of Rivers State to continue to support and align with the renewed hope agenda of our dear president. Now, let's move away from Fubara. I'm sure our guest, Mr. Zoe, will help us break it all down. But the sole administrator of Rivers State, Vice Admiral Iboki Bass, retired, has pledged to remain neutral amid the ongoing political crisis in the state. Do recall the whole appointment of local government caretakers against the guidelines of the Supreme Court's verdict, and also the concerns if whether new fresh elections would also take place. Now, this appointment has been met with resistance from loyalists of Fubara who are accusing him of excavating the crisis in the state. And a group initiative for transparency, strategy, and good leadership also alleged that those appointments are loyalists of the FCT ministers, claiming that individuals appointed to the Civil Service Commission, the Government Service Commission, were Wike's loyalists. Now, let's move away from that to something that is also brewing in Rivers State, and that has to do with the Supreme Court's fixing a hearing date for the suit filed by the 11 governors of the PDP who are challenging the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State. Now, the Director of Information and Public Relations of the Supreme Court, Dr. Festus Akonde, said the matter would be taken up when the court resumes after Easter. So here is Governor Fubara thanking the president and also asking the people of the state to support the president's agenda. But the president suspended you. And how does that go against the plan of the PDP governors who are seeking to challenge the president's declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State? Quite interesting. Well, Mr. Zoe Tamanotoye joins us from Rivers State, Port Harcourt. Thank you so much for being with us, Doc.
Thank you. It's always my pleasure.
So let's begin with your reactions to Wike's comments on emergency rule in the state. Now, there were a whole lot of, will I call it, bombs, that aired during the course of that interview. But let's start from his initial reactions to President Tinubu's declaration of emergency. And, in that interview, he made mention of the fact that Fubara should worship Tinubu for saving him because, according to him, he actually wanted Fubara to be suspended, but that didn't play out.
That is typical Wike for you. But beyond all those rhetorics, I watched the interview and I saw beyond the words he was saying, or rather he said. I was looking at his physical disposition. You could see a man that is so exhausted. You could see a man that is so stressed up. He was in the entire interview, he couldn't compose himself. He was moving his body here and there. You could see a very tired man. And I was worried. I was like, who are the people handling this man? Won't they want him to leave for another fight? So it goes to show that even though he may think he is winning the battles, he has not won the war. Now, going to his statements, that's typical Wike for you. Somebody who have come to assume the position that he's the only person that has integrity and character in Nigeria. Now, if we are to take his words, first, he said something in the lines of, who is the president without him? He didn't say, who am I without the president? He said, who is the president without me? And if you look at it, he may be right, because he puts the president where he is today by the rigging of Rivers people's votes for a candidate that did not even win the election in Rivers State. I'm talking about President Tinubu. Then, if you see a man that can talk like this, even about the president, then you know that our democracy is finished. Today, Wike, as it were in Nigeria, Wike is the law, or what he says is the law, and the law is Wike. Now, he talks about the governor. He made mention, he said that governance is not just about commissioning projects, but the power play. And this is where he gets it wrong. In the United States, politics is during election. Immediately after the election and the elected officials are sworn in, 20th January, they go into governance. So power play should be surrounded around governance and not distracting a sitting governor when he wants to provide governance. This is what Wike should also know. He also talked about the governor going to prostrate to say, ask for forgiveness, ask for mercy, and then plead, beg the president, beg everybody so that there will be way forward. Another thing to ask Governor Wike, when he makes, the problem with Governor Wike, he says things that you begin to imagine what are running his mind. Does the man really have conscience? If you're asking for a sitting governor to come and prostrate, to come and apologize to you or the president, have you also gone to apologize to former President Jonathan and his wife, or Senator Mbata, those who made you, those who brought you, Peter Odile? Have you ever considered going to apologize to them by the way you treated them? He also talked about the governor, where he wanted the governor outright removal. The simple question to ask Governor Wike is, who wanted you outright removal when you were 8 years as governor? So you see, the thinking of the former governor is a problem, and I don't blame him for all these things. In that interview, he has shown that he is in charge, not only in Rivers State, but in Nigeria. Because I was wondering, there shouldn't be a problem in Rivers State at all. Now, with that interview, I have come to the conclusion that the problems in Rivers State, the political crisis in Rivers State, is not about Governor Wike, former Governor Wike, is the president. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the perpetrator of the political crisis in Rivers State. And I will tell you, it's all about the politics of 2027. Because if you look in the north today, security issues. Just recently, you heard about the announcement of the number of deaths in Benue State. You heard about the cry from Bishop Martin Kuka, former vice president. What's his name? David Mark are all coming out. Dan Juma, they are all coming out, crying out the insecurity situation in the north. Those are situations that require the president's intervention. But he left that because he has found out that he will not enjoy the same popularity and vote strength the way he enjoyed in 2023 in the north. He is looking for where to compensate for the votes that he may lose in 2027 in the north. And he has chosen the south. And he thinks the best way to do it is to cause crisis in the south, particularly in Rivers State, because 2 million votes is not a joke. It was the game changer for him in 2023. So he thinks causing crisis in the state is the way to go. And so Wike, former Governor Wike, became an instrument in the hands of the president to perpetrate this injustice, this oppression and subjugation of the Rivers people. That is what I have seen in the interview that former Governor Nyesom Wike granted. But I'll still plead with former Governor Wike to, the secretary said the unexamined life is not worth living. He should examine his life. When you have come to the point that you are the only man that have integrity and character in Nigeria, when you have come to the point that you are even stronger than the president of the country, then we are heading to a place where I call self-destruction, and that is not good for himself. And
now, regarding the path to peace, the governor said that he would let go of wrongs done to him if Fubara genuinely seeks forgiveness. What's your take on that?
It's quite unfortunate that the former governor is seeing himself as Rivers State. The governor has no whatsoever, is not responsible to the former governor. The governor, by his oath of office and the constitutional provision, is responsible to Rivers people. So it is only the Rivers people that the governor can apologize to if he has done something wrong. And so far, the Rivers people have not raised any issue or any doubt or whatsoever in the governance of the state by Governor Similaye Fubara. So it is an overrating for the former governor to think that the governor owed him a duty or is responsible to him, and so he should come and apologize to him or give him condition. See, we have come to the point in the crisis where it is no longer about two of them. It started with two of them, but it has affected the entire state, so much so that the state has taken up the whole matter. And that's why the Rivers Emancipation Movement that is speaking on behalf of Rivers people have come to a point where we are not looking at reconciliation just for these two people. We are looking at reconciliation in terms of Rivers people and the interests of Rivers people. And that's why going forward, we are coming up with a resolution. Very soon we'll come up with a press conference where we'll outline our Marshall Plan for reconciliation and restoration of democratic institutions in Rivers State. So it is very important for the former governor to know that The matters he's having with Governor Fubara is not just about him and Governor Fubara. It's about Rivers people. It's about our democracy. It's about our constitution. It's about the rule of law. So we are going to open the scope. We are going to give them platform where they will come and sit before eminent, neutral Nigerian citizens and tell them why they have led Rivers State to the path that we are today. So the issue of him giving condition to Fubara is belated and is an overrated statement.
Now, talking about the president, there are some groups and a whole lot of agitations, probably from the Ijaw side, that are looking forward to the ICC, that is the International Criminal Court, to rule against Tinubu's declaration of emergency. Is this a sheer waste of time when you look at the fact that, I mean, South Africa has gone through this path, taking Israel to court over heinous crimes against humanity that South Africa's claim about Israel? Does that court offer any sort of hope that anything will change regarding this emergency declaration in Rivers State?
Yes, it's very necessary because, we are living in a global world today. What happened in Gaza can affect somebody in South Africa. Now, considering the strategic position of Rivers State in Nigeria and in the sub-region of Africa, the economic activity, the oil and gas, Rivers State is home to oil and gas exploration, the international business. So anything that affects Rivers State is definitely going to affect the entire, not just Nigeria, the entire sub-region, and affects production of oil and gas in international market. So it's very important that at this point in time, and again, democracy has become a global something. So it's not something that you now reduce to say it's just about Rivers people. No. For Rivers Emancipation Movement, we have even gone beyond that. As I speak to you, we have written to the United States Congress. Our letter is there now, waiting for the attention of the United States Congress. We are making moves to write to the President Donald Trump through the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria. We are taking some steps internationally, globally, to get the attention of the international community to intervene. Because we're in the 21st century. You cannot subjugate or bring a particular people in a state or in a country under a military rule where you claim you are practicing democracy. We will not allow that. So it's very important, and I appreciate those who have gone to the international court. We will use every democratic means within our reach, locally and internationally, to get out of this mess of President Tinubu, who is fast becoming an authoritarian and a dictatorial president in a civilian regime.
Now let's come to the National Assembly's 19-man oversight committee. Have you scrutinized that list, and do you feel they are neutral regarding to how they could solve the problem of stakeholders being at loggerheads in Rivers State?
No, not at all. And that is why the Rivers Emancipation Movement, as on behalf of Rivers people, released a press statement that we don't have confidence in the National Assembly. They are partisan, they are biased, they are not neutral. In fact, they are playing out the script of the presidential accord that was signed many months ago, as far as the political crisis in Rivers State is concerned, that was handed over to the governor to come and implement, that failed, even though the governor implemented his part. And when it failed, they passed it on to the Supreme Court to write an essay where the Supreme Court gave judgment that's anti-democratic in Nigeria, in the history of Nigerian democracy. And that failed. They came back and moved for the process of impeachment. And that failed. They now came up with a martial law and a sole administrator. So the National Assembly in all of this have not acted unbiasedly. They've not been neutral, so they cannot be neutral. Now, I've seen the list. I have a lot of respect for Professor Julius, but if you look at the entire list, you see people who are allied to the former governor or the presidency. So they are not neutral, neither can they do anything reasonable as far as the Rivers State political crisis is concerned. One thing is paramount. They should engage the sole administrator to begin the process of reconciliation. And in fact, we have come to realize that the sole administrator has even lost, lost priority. He doesn't even know what to do. He is busy combing the entire state for resources and revenue instead of focusing on his mandate to carry out reconciliation and transition to a democratic government in Rivers State. Because of that failure, you could see that in the entire Rivers State crisis, the presidency has failed, the judiciary has failed, the National Assembly is complicit, the what do you call it, political parties are biased, the traditional what do you call it, stakeholders in the state, elders and whatsoever, do not have the structure to engage and resolve this matter. For that reason, the Rivers Emancipation Movement has now come up with a Marshall Plan for reconciliation and restoration of democratic process. In few days' time, we will invite you to a press conference, a world press conference, where we are going to state out the Marshall Plan for reconciliation and restoration of democratic governance under Governor Simila Ifubara. That is the path to go. The National Assembly will not do anything different. They are an unbiased umpire. They are biased arbiter, so they cannot do anything different from what they.
Now, Dr. Zoe, talking about the sole administrator's operations, what's the update on the local government elections?
I am not, well, for this sole administrator, anything is possible, but following the constitution, I'm not expecting a sole administrator to conduct a democratic election, a military head to conduct a democratic election in Rivers State. But with this kind of sole administrator, nothing is impossible. But if it comes to that, like I told you, Rivers people will reject it, will resist it within the democratic space and rights we have.
The big question for me is, has he met with stakeholders to sue for peace? Just as you said, that was one of the clear objectives set aside for him by the president to accomplish.
It's quite unfortunate what the sole administrator is doing. Well, I saw a video where he was addressing the Rivers State traditional rulers. And even in that video, it was not a deliberation. It was not a communication from both sides. He was just issuing out martial order, telling them what kind of peace he wanted in their communities, threatening them with security details and whatsoever. I have not seen a genuine engagement in terms of engaging the stakeholders, the youths, the women. In fact, what the sole administrator, if he's actually have good intention, is to engage the academia at this point in time, because that is where you get the resources you will need. In fact, there is no body language or in terms of statement whatsoever that is geared towards reconciliation effort. All he's doing is just grabbing and pumping the state for resources and revenue, and that is not his mandate. So I have not seen him, in a genuine sense, engage the stakeholders in Rivers State, although I've seen a video where he was issuing martial orders to the Rivers traditional rulers.
Now, before we wind up the interview, quite interesting. I don't know if you saw the statement released by Governor Fubara, asking for Rivers people to support President Bola Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda, as opposed to his colleagues in the PDP, talking about the PDP Governors Forum, who were planning to take emergency rule to court. Of course, I gave an update about the Supreme Court saying that all this will pan out immediately after the break. What are your thoughts on this?
A man of peace and one who will respect constituted authority. I will differ if that's what you have said concerning his press statement is true. And I want the governor at this point to know that it is not about him as Governor Fubara. It's about Rivers people. And I want him to understand the feelers of Rivers people before he will make any press statement. President Tinubu is against Rivers people. President Tinubu is oppressing and subjugating Rivers people, taking their democratic right. I don't see a reason why a governor would be asking Rivers people to support such a president who is depriving us. So if that is his position, well, I don't know. We have respect for the governor. We will follow the governor in whichever part he wants us. But that will not be to compromise the will of Rivers people, the mandates of Rivers people that we have entrusted in him. So the Rivers Emancipation Movement is in touch with every ordinary citizen in Rivers State. So we are going to move in that direction. We are going to fight for our democratic right. We are going to ensure that the democratic institutions are reinstated and he comes back to govern the people. It's only when that is done we can now listen to him to work with the president.
Okay, do you think that Governor Fubara now, is downplaying the efforts of those who are consistently protesting for him to be reinstated as governor?
I wouldn't want to comment on that because I don't know his position. I have not read his statement. I don't know the reasons why he has spoken in that tone. But we that are fighting, like I told you, it's not about Fubara or Wike. It's about Rivers' interest, and that is our focus. We will never compromise the interest and the will of Rivers people, whether it is coming from the governor, from the president, or from Wike.
Now, Zoe, as we wind down, the crisis has lingered for too long. And I mean, the people are the ones who will bear the brunt. As they say, when two elephants fight, the grass will definitely feel the heat. Talking about the people of Rivers State, do you think that with how things has played out, with the cards, the odds at play here, that Governor Fubara should ask for forgiveness from Governor Wike for the sake of peace in the state?
Not at all. Not at all. We've gone past that level. All those things have been overtaken by events. They should just wait for REN to come up with the template for reconciliation and restoration of democratic process in Rivers State. That is what they should wait for. And we hope that when we come up with that template, they will take advantage of it. That is the path to go. If they fail to take advantage of that, then Rivers people will mobilize, and we are going to engage in civic resistance to ensure that our rights, our civil liberties are protected within the democratic space. That is the path to go. For Governor Wike to be asking for former Governor Wike to be asking for forgiveness from our governor is an self-overrated statement, and is a belated statement too.
Pretty interesting. But Dr. Zoe Taminotoye, I want to thank you once again, President of the Rivers Emancipation Group, for speaking with us today on the show.
It's always my pleasure, sir.
Well, there you have it. That's our show for today. Once again, happy Easter celebrations, and we will keep it locked, of course, right here on LN 24/7 for more great programming. Do remember that you can visit our online contact hub at www.ln247.news for great content. And also, you can also follow our social media handles displayed on your screen. We'll continue to keep a tabs on happenings in the world of politics, both in Nigeria and across the globe. Once again, my name is Morno Balagugu. Many thanks for watching.